different. All right, got it. Cool. No, but it was good. Good to be back with the boys and have most of the command deck on deck. So it was good.
No issues.
No major issues.
Nice, nice.
Always issues. Always
Yeah, no, I
issues.
hear you. So here we,
Yeah.
I believe, we are episode 27 with Mr. Nishan Campbell. We had a previous episode with him. I'm going to blame it on him for driving to the jungle or whatever it was. We misplaced the first 30 minutes, so we're back at it, hooking to the jab and trying to make it work. Improvise, adapt, overcome. You know what I'm saying?
Boy, Nick. It was my fault. I was driving, and I'm sure someone would have been upset that the fact that I was driving and doing a call with you at the same time. But
Just busted your balls.
whatever.
So yeah, back at it. Nisha just came back from a little 2 day soiree with the Tampa boys, and
That's right.
sounds like it went all right.
Yeah, great time back at headquarters, and we had our commanders conference this weekend. So I had all my company commanders out, which was dope because they're all good dudes. So
Cool.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you think about this balloon floating around, dude?
So
Crazy times,
I
huh?
can only, yeah, it's
I figured you
crazy.
could.
I
I
mean,
figured you'd only peck at this.
yeah, I mean, I'll attack it as best as I can without getting in trouble. But yeah, I mean, the DoD and the president they've got to release a statement they're gonna release this evening.
Oh,
And
oh,
so you're not gonna
finally,
hear anything new.
finally, finally.
It's gonna
Jeez.
happen. It's gonna happen. I think. Yeah, I think everyone with that's been downrange like yourself is gonna say, well, yeah, this was a probe. This was a counter intel move,
Of
and
course. Come on.
um,
What else makes sense?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's was it a distraction? Was it a
I
distraction something
mean,
else? I have no idea.
yeah. I mean, we could speculate all day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
crazy
just
times, man.
I mean, there's more balloons floating around.
I
That's not
know.
the
I'm
only one
aware.
floating
I'm
around.
aware. I'm aware. I don't. I can't tell if it's a calculated move in the media or if it's actually something significant that we should bother about. But I don't know.
I don't know. Can we affect it one way or the other? That's the
Yeah.
question.
Exactly. Yeah. I touche.
I don't think so. I
No, we
don't think so.
cannot. We cannot.
No, but we can talk
So
about how we think it's going to be dropping bio or
yeah.
bugs or some
Yeah.
other bizarre thing that's clearly not true. But we can,
We'll have to go with
because
it
it's
either
not like
way.
we don't have enough satellites circumventing the globe
Oh
at
my
all
god,
times to collect
ridiculous.
intel. We need a balloon to do it. So
That's what
yeah.
I did that too. I did that too. So yeah, I don't know what it is, bro. It's creeping me out, but hey, what are we gonna do? Um, so I kind of wanted to. I don't know. I've been talking. I just got kind of thrown off on the last episode because I interviewed a. He's a Marine comedian, and
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he's actually he's a Muslim Marine comedian,
Okay.
so he's kind of
Okay.
using that to his advantage to just have some great content. Really, I mean, he's a funny dude.
Yeah, right on.
Um, but yeah, it's funny going because I'm really not funny, so it's funny going from like a serious podcast to that and back to this. But yeah, I'm making it work.
We can
So
try to make it funny. I'm not the funniest guy either, but every once in a while.
so where I wanted to go over this with you. Um, where do you where it kind of came up in an episode. I think it was prior to. I think it's two ago. Um, but what's it like? Do you think for guys in the Marines right now with PTSD? I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
it's weird coming from a outlook of being out for a few years, and being able to like self reflect,
Yep.
have the time to actually look into the things and figure out what's going on. Because when you're in, you really can't do that. I mean, your op tempo is always up, and you got other things that are important. Um, so you really can't do that. I mean, does that come up in the military up today at all?
It does. It does. I'm a reservist now, so it's not in my face every day. But there are definitely situations that pop up where you've got a guy that's done some work and he's struggling And PTSD comes in so many different forms, and there's so many causes for it. It's not just the fact that you got shot at, or you had something terrible happen on a deployment. I mean, there's people that want to talk about PTSD that comes in a lot of different forms.
Someone told me today that PTSD adapts to your environment, or like or confirms
Oh,
conforms to what you're going through presently. Maybe if that's better. I don't know. It was a funny way to
yeah,
look
I
at it.
think it's like any other mental health issue, or even a physical issue, right? Like Wolf's Law says that our body is going to regrow or adapt to the environment that you're presenting it to. So if you carry an 80-pound ruck, your transverse processes that are in your spine are going to start to get really thick.
Oh,
They're going to get calcified. If you're a diver, right, the top of your head, we've seen studies where the top of folks' head, they start to get larger amounts of calcium buildup because of the repeated impact into off like a 10-meter board into a pool. So yeah, you're 100% right. I don't think it changes with PTSD and mental health. It's the same exact thing. Or we're gonna adapt.
for sure, for sure. He was funny just because he was talking from a leadership position because I was in we talked about this before. I'd probably be like at like a gunny range or something like that. So I would
Yep,
be
yep,
implementing my knowledge on my Marines though. So technically, those guys are in senior leadership positions right now, probably in
that's correct.
our Marine Corps. So they're trying to mix. I mean, I'm sure it must be difficult. Just trying to figure out what Marines are like today, trying to like conform to the way they think, because it's funny because I mean it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but stuff has changed a lot. That
Yeah, I
younger
think you
age
and I were
learns differently.
talking. I think you and I were talking that I joined in 27, 28, like right around that time frame. Left active duty in 2012, and you were like what, maybe 2 years behind me, or
Yep.
right around the same time.
Yep.
Yep. So, and I think what we were talking about was the fact that most of our staff sergeants, like, they've not had a deployment, like even a
Yeah, that's
UDP,
funny. That's
uh,
funny.
right? Which is crazy. So, we've had, like, my old company, Charlie Company in Galveston. We sent the last platoon. No, I take that back. It wasn't the last platoon that went to Okinawa for UDP out of good old Camp Schwab. But those Marines. I mean, that's, when you think about a battalion of 1,800 dudes, and we sent 50. I mean, and that was the deployment you got. So
Wow.
that's what our guys are batting with, and yeah, it's a different Marine Corps. I mean, you've got gunnies that have got great experience that they can pass on. You've got some staff sergeants to do, but really, I mean, I retired with my best friend who's a mass sergeant earlier this summer, and when he left, it was like I could hear the sucking chest wound of experience. Like, okay, that's gone now. Now who's
Damn,
going
you
to fill
felt
it?
it like that. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, who's going to fill it? And so, literally one of my best friends, like, on this planet, and to have him leave and take that experience with him. And it was time he had to leave. He's mass sergeant. I think he had 28 years service limitations. But yeah, it's a you would recognize it because the same good dudes are still doing good work. Like,
I hear that.
dudes do that. So I don't want to be like gender
No, yeah, of
specific here, because
course. Of
I've
course.
got some phenomenal Marines. When I say dudes, just for the sake of the podcast, I'm referring to everybody.
No, I hear
But
you.
just some good dudes. So yeah.
So do you think that I don't know how often do you actually, you guys don't really work with the VA that often at your level or at all? I mean, you have all active duties. I don't know, how does that work as a reservist? Do you go through the VA
Yeah.
at all?
So yeah, we do. So if you've spent any time on active duty, you can actually submit a VA claim. So how Fourth Assault Infantry Battalion works, our reservist battalion, you've got essentially that kind of 1,500, 1,600 reserve Marines, and then we're augmented by all the key leaders have an active duty component that is essentially like same. So like our battalion commander has an inspector instructor who's an O5 lieutenant colonel, and they're joined at the hip there. Like, I'm the battalion XO, and there's another major. That's what they call the assistant INI, and we have the same billet. So kind of all the key billets that need to keep things going throughout the month when you're not there, you've got an active duty component, and then we've got guys that are like training clerks and S1. You've got junior Marines in there. So the active duty side, I don't know exactly how many we have in the battalion, but I would guess that it's probably 50 or so Marines that are active duty.
What's the op tempo like? I mean, are you even thinking about deployments at this point, or where's that at?
Yeah, I think we're always thinking about deployments. I mean, you saw when you and I were in, Marine Corps was at its height, 212,000 Marines, and now I believe we're down to like 168. And what we've done is we've augmented that big force and we've pushed a lot of that into reserves. The reserves now, I want to say 2 years ago, our battalion was the was to fulfill. I want to say it was 30% of the lift capabilities for the active duty component. So you've got all these key enablers and other warfighting functions that are here to immediately augment the active duty component. So yeah, are we talking about deployments? Yeah, every freaking drill, every conference call we get on, and
Good.
the question like I'm asking my company commanders is like, what are you doing to make sure your guys are prepared to go shoot bad guys in the face today? Like, we want to be able to go and fight tonight. And so yeah, there's nothing like on the horizon. We have got no orders that I'm aware of to go anywhere.
What would you think
But
they're even thinking about right now? Honestly, I mean, because what are we really doing in the Middle East still? I mean, have we completely egressed? I mean, are there still little elements over there of base security and some kind of combat elements over there, or where are we at?
I don't know if we've got any other small contingencies there, Nick. I don't know. So I don't want to
I
say
mean,
yes or
I'm
no.
sure we do. I can understand that, but are we gonna be? I, I don't even know how to ask this to you, but I mean, I would hope that I don't know we're being kinetic somewhere, or I don't know if I hope that, but I mean, I'm sure that's going to be on the horizon soon. I've heard
Yeah, we no, we think about like what's going on in the South China Sea, particularly with Taiwan, and
that's
to
got to
say
be
that
your forefront somewhere, dude.
forefront. I mean, I'm an amphibious assault guy, so that's
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
yeah, okay. How are we going to get in? How are we going to get out? How do we make sure that we're training, our company commanders, our platoon sergeants, our section leaders, the dudes that are actually driving the vehicles? Like, how do we get a BLT from the ship inland and push to the objective?
See, a lot of
I
people
mean,
just assume that's easy, but there's little things that come up in that could throw off that whole. I can understand where you're coming from, and I hear you.
the most complex, and I'm in command and staff college right now. I'm wrapping it up. Thank goodness it's a long 2 years. But the most complex military operation is an amphibious operation,
I'm sure.
because of the time space component in so many different variables.
Just having
It's a
the
complex thing.
water involved at all, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Nick, it's yeah, it's huge. You the water is the most unforgiving mistress that you'll ever serve.
So many things could go wrong in that. Like, regardless, I mean, I don't really know. I've just started looking into like the politics behind it, and it's a nightmare, dude. I usually try to stay away from the stuff, but
Uh-huh.
right now it's kind of too juicy not to at least take a look at, and I can't even imagine what's really going on, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, the political side, I generally try to stay away from. But as a reservist, I don't wear the uniform 24/7. I mean, I try to be a Marine officer 24/7. Had to shave my beard, which is kind of a bummer, but it's coming back.
I
Give me
know,
a couple more
right?
days.
Uh,
I'll be back on your level here soon. But yeah, I mean, I've got friends that are in Congress that are state, local, and federal politicians, and you kind of want to be a part of that conversation. You don't
that's
kind of
good.
you want to be a
I
part of that
figured that
conversation.
was a goal for you, dude.
No. I'm having
No,
too much fun doing what I'm doing now.
really,
No,
it's like that.
I want to I want to take care of Marines. I want to be ready for the next fight. And if the
So really, what you're
next
doing,
fight comes,
you see, I kind of look at you as a whole, and to see you actually bringing the training home and really instituting that on your own right, like you can tell it's important to you. Just do you think that like giving Marines the opportunity when they get out to hire through your system is something
yeah,
that needs to be done on a large scale, or how has it worked for you? That's more
yeah. So
so.
we do a ton of recruiting, obviously, out of Marines just transitioning from active duty. Or even we've had a couple of reservists too, but and some we've had guys that have been out for a little while and they're just kind of looking to find it, their new home. But yeah, I think on the grand scale, we've seen like you went through TAPS and TAMP, and we all did when we left active duty. And I think we all kind of had a bad taste in our mouth.
For sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
For
but it's
sure.
like you got a bunch of self-serving companies
So that's really
that
what you're doing. I see that. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So we don't go to TAPS and TAMPs, and maybe someday we will, but right now it's just more of like, hey, do you know a good dude? Because to me, it's like, and I told my commanders that this weekend, like, remember, everyone wants to say that you're a people-based business. We're people-based, people business. And in my business at Gunfighter, we recruit a lot of good dudes that can talk to people and show people a good time on the range. But I think it's even more important to look at what we're doing on the active and reserve components of the Marine Corps and say, well, that is a people business. And we need to constantly be looking at that business as a recruiting firm and getting the best dudes in. And that's honestly what I love. My big selling point, the reserves, is you can actually build your own team.
Yeah, you can.
And we've had great transition as the time that I've been in the battalion staff where, we've seen folks go away and we've seen really, really good folks come in. And I'm super proud of, and I told the guys this weekend, it's like, hey, all you company commanders sitting at this table, we have 5 companies. It's like, look, you're all the best dudes. Like, I am so stoked to enable you, to help you train your companies to go fight the next war because you're the best dudes for the job. So, when you and I were junior, I think we had all this like institutional knowledge and people that we looked up to. Like,
For sure.
I remember I had a master sergeant as our ops chief, and as like a lance corporal, he was part of the Mogadishu pullout.
Oof.
So he was part of the Amtrak
Wow.
sure
Oof.
after Black Hawk Down happened. And so to me, I was just like, dude, you are my hero. Like, I
Real.
remember
That's a
watching that.
salty. That's a salty
Yeah,
bastard right there, dude.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, completely. And then we transition from that to like now you get in and you're like, oh yeah, so and so did one pump to Afghanistan, and it was, Al Assad, and it's a totally
That's
different,
always the first.
totally
That's
different
so funny.
beast.
That's always the first thing people say when they try to insult somebody who goes to Afghanistan. You probably will always stay at Al Assad. That's funny. I haven't
You're
heard that
probably
in a
not Al
minute.
Assad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not going to talk shit about those
No,
that
it's just funny.
done it,
It's
but
funny to hear that. No. Anyways, I
yeah.
get um, yeah. Well, just the concept of having your own guns and having your own packages and
Yeah.
being in the comfortability range of a Marine, you can tell not only that you make the job easy for them too, dude. That's something that they know they can do it easily. They can be comfortable doing it, and it's the business. Who came first of all? Who came up with the name Gunfighter, dude? That is sexy.
Thanks, man. And we actually acquired gunfighter.com a couple of years ago. It took us a long time to get it.
I
There's
bet
this
it
whole
did.
story behind that. But yeah, we finally got it. But yeah, Gunfighter Canyon is the long version of the name. We're going to drop Canyon here eventually. But our first range is up in Page, Arizona, where you have a really picturesque place called Antelope Canyon. You get on Instagram and you'll see tons of photos of people down in Antelope Canyon. So we wanted to have like that canyon, that Arizona feel to it from the very beginning. And then Gunfighter, I mean, that's who I am. That's an identity that I, and you,
Yep,
a
absolutely.
lot of folks
Absolutely.
identify with. So yeah, it's fun to bring dudes in. We had a guy work for us this summer, Mason. He's a good friend of mine now, and just be able to come in and pick up a 240 Bravo
Yeah.
or an M249 Saw or an M4 and be able to like teach somebody in a very short amount of time who
Because
probably doesn't speak
dude,
very
it's
good
so
English.
easy to us. You know what I mean? We're so
Yeah,
comfortable with
it's
it, dude.
second
It's so
nature.
easy.
Yeah, it's second nature. And so,
Smart move,
they're
dude.
in
I was
there.
thinking about it the other night. Great move.
We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. It's cool to see that spark go back into that
Yeah.
young Marine's eyes and go, yeah, I want to show this dude how to shoot this belt head machine gun, and it's like, yeah, that's what
what's
we do.
what's the goal, if you don't mind me asking? Do you see yourself really expanding as a brand? And I don't
Yeah,
know. Okay.
yeah, absolutely. So we've got 3 locations now, one in Page, one in Williams, and one in Flagstaff, Arizona. Our Flagstaff, Arizona location does not have a range. It's the only one that doesn't have a range. So we're working on that this year. I would expect us to have full approval to build
Is
in
that
the
the
city
hardest part?
here.
Is getting the range on it? I mean, obviously it is, right? There's so many little things with that. Yeah. Does it
Yeah,
normally
the
take a
hardest
while
part's
to get the range after you set up
no.
the store?
No, the range isn't that bad. It's super expensive. So you've got to be able to have a business model that can get that sucker paid off pretty quickly. We're not in the business of wanting to take like tons of loans, so we try to self fund as much as we can. And to be honest with you, like the shooting range business, I mean, there are dozens of shooting ranges for sale right now because it's not an easy business to make
Really?
money in, unless you're kind of doing what we're doing, which is machine gun shooting
Pushing
venture
something unique.
experience type stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, yeah. Something that's got a high profit margin, but it's a super cool experience. Usually folks come in and they get a little sticker shock because they think, oh, I'm going to shoot a couple machine guns and it's going to be like paying for goofy golf. It's like, well, no, that gun that you're about to shoot costs 80 grand,
Yeah, exactly.
and you're about to shoot 100 dollars worth of ammo,
Yeah, no shit.
and the guy that's about to walk you through it is a combat veteran, and I've got to make sure he's comfortable in his lifestyle and his
Yep.
living. So yeah, I mean, you walk into one of our stores and you're going to drop 180, 190 bucks, just for a basic 3 gun machine gun shoot, and then go all the way up to $1,000. So
No shit.
it's uh, it's a different model. Now we're traditional gun stores too. We sell guns and accessories and ammo and do all the basic training stuff too. But where our true mission and where we truly want to be is in that first time experience shooter. Because you see that smile erupt off of
Yep.
someone's
Yep.
face when they get off the range. You
For
cannot
sure.
replicate that.
For sure. I hear that completely.
Yeah.
So what do you could go when you go all the way up the chain with your up guns or your crew serves? I mean, I see a 50
Yeah,
behind you. Or is
so
that no,
we've
that's not
got
a 50.
we
That's a
got
that's
we go medium machine we go to a medium machine gun on belt feds. We do have a couple of 50 cal sassers. So
okay.
and we do have access to a couple outdoor ranges. So we obviously don't shoot a 50 PMG indoors.
Yeah, of course.
Um, no one wants to do that. I mean, if you do,
You
then
blowing your
maybe
eardrums
your
out.
TBI,
Yeah,
maybe your
exactly.
TBI is a little more extreme than you thought it was. I don't even like shooting that thing outside,
Yeah,
but
seriously.
yeah, so that's about as big as we get. And then, really the fun stuff is submachine guns, which, you and
I
I really
agree.
didn't get
I
to play
agree.
with in the Marine Corps. I mean, how many Marines got issued an MP5 SD? Like zero. Um,
Exactly.
there were some guys doing VBSS in like the late 90s that got, MP5Ks and SDs, but,
Such a
that kind
sexy
of
gun.
stuff's, oh, it's my favorite.
I
It's by
love
far
it,
my
dude.
favorite.
Love it.
There's a dude on Instagram. His Instagram's like at 2 400 tactical or something. And he's an OIF guy, retired officer, but he did VBSS with MP5. So he's like an MP5 guru, like one
Oh,
of the few
really?
Marines, yeah, that really knows him.
Love that
But
fucking thing.
yeah, yeah, it's so cool.
I
You know
actually
that
go ahead.
good.
No, I really fell in love with the AK-47, mostly from being on deployment, but
Mm-hmm.
just how you could put I'm a big rounds on target guy. If I could accurately put rounds on target from like any position, any angle, I feel confident. I feel confident myself, and when you're confident in yourself, you're a more active and more absolutely terrifying warrior. So the AK
Oh,
forty
you are.
seven, the AK-47 is definitely the weapon for me. But I've also ripped the MP5 on multiple occasions, and when you can put the type of firepower on one thing, it's just so sexy and so I love that about that weapon. It can really rip.
Yeah, you can put 32 rounds on an 8-inch steel without moving. I
That's what I
mean,
mean.
you know,
Accurately and
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's super cool. But I love shooting full auto AKs. I mean, yeah, it's just great to have that big bolt
Is
just
the is
moving
it is
back
it
and
the
forth so
round? Is
quickly.
it the round with that? Is it
I
just
think I think so.
it really is?
Yeah, we've got a 9 mil AK. It's called a KP9 that Kalashnikov made. We've got several of them, and they rip pretty cool, but it's not nearly the experience.
You have all your AKs are Russian.
No, we've got a whole mix. We've got a whole mix of AKs.
Can
As
you
you
notice the
imagine, we
difference?
go. No, I don't. And maybe I'm the wrong guy to talk to. I'm not going to pretend like I'm the dude behind the gun every day because I'm not. But
Yeah, no, I hear you.
the yeah, I don't. I mean, we try to go with the highest quality one that's going to last. We try to get them to last a season, and that's about it's about 6 or 7 months they go through.
Where do you guys
Millions
source
millions of
most of your
rounds.
weapons?
Through any of the general suppliers in the United States, we don't do anything no CONUS. Through ITAR, I just kind of stay away from. We really don't need to. But like Kalashnikov has a USA branch, and that's where we got
Oh,
our
cool.
KP9s from. And then yeah, I mean, there's so many guys that make all those platforms.
Gotcha. Now, what area are you actually located in Arizona?
So Flagstaff is like the right in the middle of the state, but it's elevation wise, it's pretty high. We're at 7,000 feet. So we're in the mountains. Williams is about 45 minutes west. And then Page, Arizona is literally the border. It's right on a little place called Lake Powell. It's right on the border of Utah,
Oh, okay.
Arizona. So the very northern part. So we kind of have the northern part of the state covered. And, we'll probably expand a little bit more to the west. Will be our next, probably our fourth location will be kind of out that direction. But
Is there anyone doing what you're doing?
not on a scale that have multiple locations. We're the first ones to do this with multiple locations. I think we're the first ones to really have a veteran recruiting, as being part of our mission statement. So, and then, I mean, there's other machine gun shooting experiences. Vegas has a ton of them. We know we're the best. We're the best because I take my guys to go shoot at those ranges in Vegas every year and say, all right, hey, you're going to be a customer today. Go get behind a super cool gun that we don't have, and I want you to evaluate their RSOs and the whole experience. So
Nice.
yeah, man, we're always refining. Like we've never arrived. And as long as I can run in this company, we never will. We're always gonna just keep trying to give that. And it's fun, Nick, because what's cool is we do have people that go from Vegas down to Page and they want to shoot. Like, oh yeah, I shot in Vegas. Like, oh cool, tell us about it. Where did you shoot? And they always walk out of our building going, this experience
Really?
tops and yeah, hard because we don't rush people. It's the experience. It's not Disneyland where everyone gets in line. You got to wait your turn. No. This is that RSO is probably a Marine veteran. Really knows the weapon system, wants to give you a little history lesson, and then wants to make you get on paper
Yeah,
your
exactly.
first time. And
Yeah,
instead of here's the gun, pull the trigger, and be done with it, that's not our experience.
that's dope. What made you what I mean, was that just a dream you always had or some an ambition you always had, or did you see something that made you think that would be a good idea? Because I'm thinking of it right now. That's just such a putting a Marine in that position is such a perfect salesman. You're gonna be able to do so well with that. Like I'm curious if you just thought that up or that's something that I don't
No,
know
I'm going
you
to take
saw
credit.
somewhere
Like
else.
I've always loved teaching people to shoot. I had
It
a
is a cool
suppressor.
experience. It's an intimate experience,
Yeah,
kind of.
it is. It's a super intimate experience, and I can go into the psychology of that later, actually, if you want. But the for us, it was at a point. My main business partner and I, we couldn't do our job as medical device sales reps for a year. We were part of a non compete. And so we legally could not do it. So we had 1 year where you kind of have the two things you never have at the same time, which is time and a little bit of expendable money. And so we drove up to Page. We thought, hey, there's a cool place to like maybe buy a boat storage unit, start a business like that. And someone, or a friend of ours at the time, said, you should really consider like an indoor shooting range. You guys have firearms experience. And of course, I thought, well, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I don't want to be involved in a super regulatory business. I was just finishing up my MBA at the time, and I had done a couple of case studies and specialized in finance. And so I started looking at what these numbers could possibly generate based off of who was already doing it. Machine Gun Vegas, Battlefield Vegas, all those ranges, Miami, Lock and Load down in Miami. And so I went and I went to all of them. Like we had time. I went to Vegas. I shot at every one. I went to Miami. I shot at that one. Like I'm like, let's figure out like what's the secret sauce. And so I think we figured it out. I mean, we've been around for 7 years now, but we, did, I was a part of a traditional gun store and a very minor ownership level several years before that. So I knew I didn't want to just sell guns and ammo. I knew that was
Dying.
a difficult
Yeah,
business.
for sure. For sure.
So yeah, that's how Gunfighter came to be. Is we want to employ veterans. We knew that was number one. Number two, we wanted to be experience based. And when you make something experience based, well, now the dollar amount that
Yeah,
you pay for it is a little less important than
for
how
sure.
important the experience is.
For
And that
sure.
intimacy that you talked about, man, that is when you teach someone to shoot, and you have, especially if they've never shot before, and they get behind a weapon system for the first time, and they're trying to figure out their grip, and that heightened sense of I'm about to do something that's fairly dangerous, right? Now, to us, it's not dangerous; it's very controlled.
No,
It's
you're
not a
right.
big deal.
You're right.
But to them, they're in the super hyper aware mindset,
For sure.
and when they touch off that first round, and that light bulb kind of comes on, like, okay, I can do this, right? And they get more confident. And so, if we're shooting multiple machine guns, we may start off with like a Glock 17 or something, get 10 rounds through that and say, okay, now let's go ahead and move over to like an MP5. And then you turn on, we call it the full American switch, and you turn that sucker all the way down to full auto, and they get that first burst and that look on their face, and you kind of that letdown of, okay, I definitely got this.
Yep.
And there's high fives, and if it's a couple, I mean, there's a sexual tension that is
For sure.
definitely building throughout that
For sure.
experience. And I don't want to like negate that and say it's not real, but because it is,
Come
it
on.
really
Let's be
is.
real.
Yeah. Shooting guns can be even spiritual. Like people walk away and they're just like, wow, I can't believe. And most of our customers have never held a firearm before. And that's what to me is that special part where if I walk onto one of our ranges, Nick, and we're busy, I'm grabbing my earphone, my iPro, and I'm like, hey, who do you want me to RSO? I'm going in, because that experience is just so fueled with just good
Yeah, it
American
is.
everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. Not only just getting down with your guys in the trenches, that always looks good on your angle, man. That's good leadership. Good on you.
But you gotta love it, brother. Like it's one thing, to have that leader that's like, I'm gonna go and be with the boys, and it's like, no, like I want to do the job. Like,
Yeah,
if I needed to RSO for a week, dude, I'm in. Like,
that's
because
good. That's you
it's
good that
awesome.
you understand that, dude. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
big for you. Cool. So you've had it for 7 years now,
Yep.
about to hit that 10-year mark. What's going to be different, going forward? Do you think? What's the new venture? Just having more locations?
Yeah. So for us as a business, we're going to learn how to grow quicker. And, we don't know how to do that yet. So we're going to get the Flagstaff range put together. That's kind of an FY23, this year slash, early of 24. And then once that's up, Nick, we're going to take the big step, which is we're going to open two at once. So, at that point, then I feel like we'll be in a position where we can start to become a household name across
Yeah,
the
for
country.
sure. I was
Yep.
gonna go as far as you got to start thinking about merch right now. Have your own, some kind of something going on, whether it's a
Yeah, we don't. We always talk about merch, and it's a funny thing. Like we've got obviously everything that's Gunfighter branded, but to have like a unique product is something that I've got one of the guys in our staff working on constantly. It's like, what's that one product that we can, make Gunfighter make better? But we've got obviously all shirts, hats, and all that good stuff. But
no. I hear
yeah,
what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Well, I mean, that's awesome, dude. It's really heartening or just good to see just the Marine taking something that he got from, at the very core of the military. I mean, that's something that really, we kind of consider ourselves best at is putting rounds down
yep,
range, and you've taken that and you've brought it over into the civilian lifestyle. That's huge for me. That's something that I talk about all the time. Is that thing that you find to do when you get out of the military, and you've managed to find something that come on, that's what we all love. Putting rounds down range. That's always fun. And you brought that
dude, you
over.
got to find your purpose, man.
Yeah,
You got to
that's
find your
big.
why. I think I didn't read Simon Sinek's book Start with Why probably until probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I wish I had read it while I was still in, because I think those questions that you ask yourself to figure out like what makes you tick, like I really enjoy creative processes and teaching people. Like, okay,
So
cool. If that's what you enjoy, then how do you get into
then
that?
you must see
And
how difficult it is, how everyone learns differently. And it's really important to have the people that are imparting this information onto these people to just, I mean, that's a unique trait to have, is to be able to teach something. Learning is much different than teaching. Teaching, you have to know how
yeah,
to broadcast to all types of people that have all different types of personalities. It's not easy.
it's not. I'll tell you a quick story. I picked up skiing. I don't know, it was last I've probably been skiing like seriously for maybe 5 years, maybe 6 years now. And a fellow Amtracker I met in town. It's just crazy. You know how small the Marine Corps is, and we
Yeah, of
served in the
course.
same battalion. We didn't know each other.
Huh.
He got out as a corporal, and his name's Alex, and he's just fucking one of the best dudes on the planet.
No shit.
And I was like, and he's like a professional ski instructor, and I'm like, all right, Alex, cool. I'm gonna bring my family. We'll do private lessons. Like we want to do this. We live in the mountains. We should be skiing. And we're going through the process, and I picked it up pretty quick just because I played hockey, so that whole skating thing kind of is second nature. And so I'm sitting there trying to give my wife pointers, and he pulled me aside. He's like, "Hey man, I'll tell you something about teaching that obviously you don't know. I'm like, all right, Alex, what is it, man? He's like, hey, so there's the old adage that, and it's a rule. If you've seen someone naked, you shouldn't be teaching them anything. I'm like, huh? He goes, yep. He goes, it just doesn't work, man. It just
Yeah,
doesn't work.
that's
He's
so
right. Like
true.
try to teach your kids,
So true.
like there's a point where there's contention between both of you,
Yeah,
right? With
yeah,
your
it does. It
spouse,
fucks it up.
your
It fucks it up. Yeah,
it
I
does.
hear
It
you.
does. So I try to take that, like even when my wife wants to go shoot, she's like, hey, let's go do a quick lesson or something. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna find someone to teach you. Like I'm not the dude.
Yeah, 1000%.
Because
It's
it's just
smart.
it's
It's
yeah.
smart. It's true.
So
You're right.
but then you have to say, well, hold on. How many of us Marines and basic training and the pipeline have taken thousands of showers together? Yeah, we still teach
So
each other.
true. So
So
true.
yeah.
Oh shit, bro! I'm about to lose you because I'm a cheap motherfucker and I don't pay for my Zoom.
Yeah.
Why don't we transfer over to the next one and we'll just we'll phase out and we'll end the pod real quick. Let me
Sounds good.
I'll send you the new numbers. Give me a sec.
All right, sounds good.